Hello everyone and welcome to my game review of Dofus or however the hell you pronounce this crazy French game. I refuse to call it Doofus because that's just stupid, so I'm gonna call it Dofus. So, what is it? The best way for me to describe it is to call it a, a MMORPG strategy game because it's turn-based and pretty tactical. So, I've been playing this for about 10 years, ever since I was 12 years old. I'm 22 now, so I guess I'd say I have the credentials to review it at this point. Been playing it on and off, it's not been a constant thing, but I do have a character that's level 190 and the maximum is 200, so I've played for a while now and I know a lot about the game. I decided to make this video because there isn't a lot of English speaking videos about this game because the game is actually created in France and mainly French people play it, so you see a lot of videos on YouTube with French speakers but not a lot of English speakers. So I wanted to create a video kind of as an intro for this game to help people who want to get started or who are already playing but want some tricks or tips or whatever. So there are 18 different classes, and this is probably the most notable one. It's called the IOP. He's basically just a huge damage dealer, just goes in and wrecks shit, honestly. Let's see, who's next? This is the Cry. He's an archer, he fights from long distances, he can push away his enemies, he can absorb, he can take their health, but basically he deals damage from distances. As a Sacrier, his thing is kind of like to be the tank, right? So they're different than all the other classes because you get these things called characteristic points, and for every 1 point you put into vitality, he gets double what other classes get. So he's literally meant to just have a shit ton of HP and just take a bunch of damage for his teammates. But he can also kind of lifesteal and replenish his HP. So let's see, this is a NERPSA, or Eneripsa, whatever. They're basically healers, and that's pretty much it, and they buff their allies. There's little videos here when you start playing that'll kind of show you how their spells look, but they're not just healers, actually. I think the water form of them or whatever is extremely powerful, so that's something to look into too. They're not just healers, they're not set in these, they're not set in stone in terms of what they do in combat. So this is an Osamadas. They basically summon all sorts of animals. You can summon a tofu, which is this little bird thing, a gobble, which is a sheep essentially. You can summon a dragon towards the end of the game, which just wrecks everybody too. And a bunch of other stuff. They're pretty powerful. Then you have a Sram, which is basically the stealth class. And yeah, I know this game's super over-sexualized, but whatever. They are basically a stealth class. They're assassins. They can go invisible. You have no idea where the fuck they are. They come out of nowhere and just destroy you. They're pretty fun to play too. They can also set traps and do crazy amounts of damage endgame. Now these Uganoks, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't been playing this game that recently for me to know about these characters, but they seem to be damage dealers, tanks. And let me just keep going. So the Inu traps, they've been here forever. They basically reduce your movement points, or basically make the other character not be able to move at all and attack from far distances. Very powerful. They can also buff the hell out of their allies. The Eka Flip, this guy's basically all about chance, and either it goes his way or it doesn't. If it does go his way, he'll annihilate your existence. So the Foggernaut, he's more of positioning. He summons these turrets and stuff. He can do a crap ton of damage if you know how to use them right, but he can also heal and do a bunch of other things. Feka, so basically these guys summon these things called glyphs. Maybe they'll show it here. Basically it's an area where if an enemy is in that area, they'll either get damaged, or you can remove their movement, or you can reduce their ability points, which is what you use to use your spells. But they can also be pretty good tanks. Yeah, they can take a lot of damage because they can get these shields around their allies. And then you have Hupper Mage. I don't know too much about Hupper Mage, so I'm gonna refrain from commenting here. You have the Masquerader. I did play when these guys were around. They just do a shit ton of damage. They basically just put on different masks that allow them to either move larger distances or do more damage or take more damage. So they're very versatile. Pandawa, okay, the aggressive drinker. Essentially, this guy gets drunk and, yeah, throws shit. You can throw your allies, you can throw enemies, you can really good at positioning people, incredible at that, but also really good at damage and taking damage. The Heliotrope. So this guy, he basically creates portals, and you can, I have no clue how they work, but people have mastered this shit, and basically you can just you can kill anyone you want with this character. Like it's insane, but you just need to know how it works. Like you see these little portals he's summoning. You summon like 5 of those, and each time you do a spell through it, it like enhances the damage so that it just multiplies. This guy's a Sedita, so he what's he good at? He basically reduces movement points, and he summons these little dolls that can do crazy shit like give. Basically, he's a movement point master. He can like increase his own movement points to like ridiculous amounts where he can just run away from you or he'll chase you. He can debuff other people. He can do a shit ton of damage as well. They're not bad. Rogues, they just set bombs and kill people. Now Excelor. So this is my favorite character. This is the one I've been playing with for the majority of the game. And as you can see, their name is actually is just Rolex spelled backwards, and that's because they're masters of time or whatever. And they're really good at positioning now, because in the beginning of the game it was really just, well, their main point honestly is just to remove action points. That's like what they were meant to do. So if you remove another player's action points to 0, they can't do anything in a fight, and that's how you win. But they can also do some decent damage, and now they're all about positional changes. They can like move. You can move your allies, you can move your enemies, and whatnot. So let me get out of this character selection screen and go back to my actual character. So I'm gonna walk you guys through the main city, and we're gonna go attempt a dungeon. So this is the main city. This is called Astrub. And the way that this game works is basically, right now I'm in a city, so there's no actual monsters to fight. There are these like little birds or whatever, but they're just too low level to even deal with. So I'm gonna go out here in the outskirts, and this is my character. He's right here, this little guy, and when you get to a certain level, this like automatically just starts happening. But yeah, this is my character in the blue right here. And let's see. So what can I show you guys? So each character has characteristics, and you have these characteristic points that you can spend every time you level. I believe you get 5 or 10 of them. Probably 5, I'm not sure. But you basically can spend them on vitality. That'll increase your health points. Wisdom will increase your experience gained by fights, and AP and MP resistance, but don't worry about that right now. If you increase strength, you'll increase not like the amount of stuff that you can carry, but also like earth damage. So there's earth damage, there's fire, there's water, and then there's air damage. Intelligence increases fire damage, chance increases water damage, and agility increases air damage. Intelligence also increases the amount you heal. Chance increases your prospecting. The higher your prospecting is, the higher chance you get to get like good items from fighting enemies. The higher your agility is, the higher your dodge is. So like, I'll show you when you get to a fight what that means. But basically, there's monsters everywhere you go in this game. and they're just everywhere, and it pretty much scales like there's not supposed to be a level, 87 group here. This is like the beginning area of the game, but since I'm level 190, they're trying to scale it up for me so that the game's not kind of boring and I'm just fighting these low level mobs. So let's see. Let me keep heading towards this dungeon as I continue. Let's see, so it's actually up here. The game has beautiful music, by the way. I mean, whether you're in combat or not, it's just nice to hear, honestly. So you'd enter a place like this, and everything is based on these like tiles, I guess you could say. They're all coordinates. So let me show you guys the map actually. So I'm at 7, -25, and you can see like the one below me is -24, one above is -26, and the whole game is like that. So every like coordinate is a new map, like me going up, left, down, right. And so I just told you we were in Astra, earlier, and now we just went outside the city gates, and now we're up here near this dungeon. But the game is massive. Like, you have to like realize like every one of these coordinates is a different map spot, and there's different islands. You can take boats to travel to them, and then there's like the high level place up here. It's called Frijost. But let's go try this dungeon out. So you talk to her. You can use this bunch of keys you get in the beginning of the game, and essentially allows you to go to any dungeon you want. But you can only do it like once per day, I believe. This is still a low level dungeon, so I'm just here to show you how the combat is, and that's really what like I think most people enjoy from this game. It's the combat. It's not really the quests or anything, because the quests are, in my opinion, they're very mediocre, and they're just, I don't know, they're lackluster. They're not very interesting, but the combat is just, honestly, it's one of the best combats in any game I've played. So you see, if I move 4 steps here, I'll lose 4 movement points right here. And then I also have action points. I have 10 of them, and each spell costs a different amount of action points. So let's say I use Clock, which is the strongest spell for this character. It's 5 action points, and I press it on this enemy, and it'll attack him. And I have a certain amount of time before I can, before my turn ends. Like, so you need to pretty much play quickly in order to like advance. So I'll just use Clock again, since they're just really low enemies, so I can just pretty much do whatever. Yeah, so the combat is like the main point of the game. It's really satisfying when you can pull off like just stuff that you never thought you'd be able to do, like certain combos and just like incredible amounts of damage, let's say, or like this character. The main point of this character is to basically reduce other people's action points, at least in player versus player combat, which I'll talk about later. But for now, I mean, it's just awesome to pull off like turn-based moves. I can't really describe it any other way. So I'm gonna take care of that guy. Take care of that guy. So there's also, I'll just do this while I'm in the dungeon, why not? There's also professions in the games, like, see, I could farm this, like I'll go up to this, you just reap the wheat or whatever, and at the end you get 5 pieces of wheat. You could use that to like make bread, and then you can sell the bread in the markets, or you can use it to heal, because like pretty soon you'll realize like, damn, like I'm getting like hurt from the fights or whatever, so I need bread to heal. You can also sit down, which increases the rate at which you recover your HP. But professions, so let's see. So now they changed it. Before, I think you could only have a maximum of 2 professions, but now you can be every single profession on one character, which is pretty nice. I'm level 60 at farming, which is decent, you know, and usually you become a baker with that. It's like farmer baker, but you guys can look up like other guides for that, for what are the, you know, optimum professions. So yeah, one of the main things I like about doing in this game is just doing dungeons, because they're all different and they all like kind of tell a story too. Like for example, there's another dungeon called the Gobble Dungeon, and that's like the you're killing gobbles, which are these sheep, right? But then in the end, there's this royal gobble, which is some sort of king or whatever. So you need to defeat him, and if you do defeat him, then you get like a cat in the end for some reason, which I guess is telling a story. I don't know what the hell the context is there, but it's just sort of interesting going through it and developing strategies and whatnot. But the professions are mainly a way to, just going back to the professions, they're mainly a way to make money in the game. The way that I made money was to really just keep trying to level up and just keep doing dungeons, honestly, because that was the way that I got loot, and if you get enough good loot, you can just sell it in the marketplaces later. See, like right here, I just got a field amulet for fighting this shit mob, and I can sell this for like 1,000 like money or whatever. So each class has a bunch of different spells, and you can put them down here in this little box, and you can have different pages of it too. It just goes on forever. But basically they changed it. It used to be where you had spell points and you could level your spells up, but now it automatically levels it for you when you reach a certain level. See, like teleportation, for example, when you're level 20, it'll become level 2. When you're level 40, it'll become level 3, and so on for every other character. So yeah, they started doing this new thing where basically you can choose either one of these. So you can have teleportation or spontaneous return, for example, and you just choose which one you want, you know, left or right. And you can tell which type of damage you're going to be doing based on the color as well, or you can just read it. You know, like blue is obviously water damage, brown is earth damage, and so on. Red is fire. This is pretty obvious, but the game does take some getting used to, because it's, like I said, it's just unlike anything I've ever played before. It's very unique. There's a lot of funny jokes in there. There's wordplay. There's all sorts of stuff. I think this is the final boss of this dungeon. It's a famished flower. So, you know, what the hell? Why not? And on the side here, there are like certain challenges you can do. Like, let's say, like it'll be random each time, and that'll either increase your loot or EXP or whatever. So it's like use only spells for the duration of combat. The reason it says that is because you can have like melee weapons like this hammer, and if you use it, then you fail that challenge. Then there are other challenges, which just helps people who just started the game out to level up faster, because the game used to be a huge grind before. But there are also guilds and alliances in the game, and that's nice to have, honestly, because when you're playing alone, it does get dull. Like I said earlier, the main like attraction for me to this game was the combat, and you know, it was just satisfying to pull off like a crazy combo of moves, or you know, like defeat like an enemy you thought you couldn't have, just based on sort of outsmarting them. And that's the whole thing. It's like outsmarting your enemy is what's satisfying about this game. And so there's, you know, obviously along with that, there's player versus player combat. So there's something called the Colosseum, where you basically enter, where is it? Let me just find it. Here it is. So basically you can do 1 versus 1 now, which I guess isn't still in beta, but you register for it. You have to be a member though, and becoming a member is about $7 a month. But you can play for free, but you just can't do like a bunch of stuff, of course. And the 1v1 is just basically you register for it and you wait like maybe 3 minutes or whatever, and you accept to enter this Coliseum, and then you can play against someone else 1 versus 1. Or you can just click on someone and challenge them. I don't have anyone to use an example, but you just click on the other player and you challenge them to a duel. And it's just for, it's just like friendly combat. You don't lose anything or whatever. It's just for fun. But the Coliseum, if you win, you get tokens. You can spend it on armor and on all sorts of shit. You can also do 3 versus 3 with the Coliseum, which is a lot of fun. So the whole point of the game is to like sort of strategize and combine these different classes of characters. You can have the healer, and then you can have the, let's say that fighter I was talking about at the beginning, the IOP, and then you can have, let's say, my character. And then people try to combine the best classes together, or what is the best combination of classes, and that's for each player to decide and try and attempt. And there are like national competitions that are held each year of like, I think it's 3 versus 3 or 4 versus 4, I can't remember, but there are people who just like spend hours and hours trying to find the best classes and whatnot. But honestly, overall, the positives about the game are that, well, the combat is fantastic, the music is incredible, and just figuring out all the different ways that you can create your character how you want it to be. So let's say if I want it to be like strength now, or I want to do earth damage, I can reset all these characteristic points, and I can wear different equipment that'll make me more earth focused, and then I can be fire later, or water, agility. That's cool. So many different classes, so many different ways of fighting enemies. It's all turn-based. It requires actual like intelligence and strategy in order to defeat your enemy. And so that's fun. That's fun to me, and it was something different. It was just something different that I grew up with, and that's what made me come back to it. The negatives were that basically the quests are just so dull. They're dull to me. They're awful. Like watch, I'll go to one of them, like what is this? Ned the dentist. You must take out chafer teeth, as many as you need to make human dentures, then take them to Ned. What the fuck? Like, I don't know. A lot of them are just very dull, and they're like, oh, go fetch this, go get that, find the map. Like what is this? Then I get fucking crab pincers. Come on, bro. But I don't know. It's not bad. If you have a guild or an alliance, which is basically just a bunch of guilds together, and people are like playing constantly, then it is really fun, because you guys go to dungeons together, or you just fight like mobs that give a lot of EXP, so you level up, you get items, you get richer, and you can afford like a bunch of items and whatnot. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good introduction video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And this was my first video, so I mean, go easy on the criticism, but I don't mind taking some criticism either. So thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed that.